different from other flowers. Orchidaceae are I think the biggest group of flowering plants in the world, and what makes them different, they have 35,000 to 40,000 species of flowering plants in the Orchidaceae family. So I have a couple examples of of orchids here that are my own. So basically what makes an orchid different from other flowers is this little part right here. This is called a column. A column is both the male and the female reproductive parts in one single organ, and this is what makes orchids different from other flowers. This is a Phalaenopsis. This is a dendrobium, and the column is here, this little white part here, and it goes down. A lot of people think that orchids are purely epiphytic, meaning that they are purely plants with air roots that grow on trees and attach themselves to trees, but they can also be terrestrial or semi-aquatic. Here I have a very common orchid, one that you would probably see at your grocery store. This is a Phalaenopsis. It's not in bloom right now. I actually just got this from a nursery. I know a lot of people don't recommend growing Phalaenopsis in sphagnum moss, but I got it like this, and it seems to be doing okay, so I'm going to leave it like this for now. I cut some holes in it so it could have some room. But this is a Phalaenopsis. This is a monopodial orchid, meaning it has one crown. These two are sympodial orchids, which means they have multiple crowns or multiple different things. I didn't want to stay. This is a crown. There are pseudobulbs in here. Sympodial orchids generally have pseudobulbs or canes. This is a cane orchid. This is a pseudobulb orchid. The crown, I believe, is where the leaves come up from the pseudobulb. Actually, I'm not sure that cane orchids have a crown. I might be wrong about this. This might not be a sympodial orchid. But this is definitely a monopodial orchid. So if this crown dies, it's very unlikely that this plant will survive. You can't divide it, and it's very rare that it'll produce keikis from flower stalks. Keikis are baby orchids. But here, if this pseudobulb dies, as long as these pseudobulbs back here are healthy, I can just remove this pseudobulb from the rest of the plant, and the rest of the plant should survive as long as whatever was damaging this pseudobulb didn't spread to the other plant. And then this is a cane orchid. And again, I'm pretty sure I can divide it if one of the canes becomes sick, but I don't have many cane orchids, so I could be wrong about that. I'm better with pseudobulb orchids or sympodial orchids. Yeah, we're gonna set this aside. So I wanted to talk about something that I kind of noticed. Again, these orchids are usually not in sphagnum moss, like I said. I got it in sphagnum moss and it seems to be doing fine, so I cut holes in the nursery pot and just kind of left it alone. The other Phalaenopsis I had that I got in sphagnum moss, I took it out of the sphagnum moss and it kind of dried up a little bit and it's not really taking in water very well. So I decided to leave this in sphagnum moss, but I wanted to show you guys the color of the roots. They are green, which means they are capable of photosynthesizing. So we can kind of conclude that these roots are epiphytic and they do not belong in the soil. They are meant to be exposed to sunlight. So what I see a lot of people do, they go home. These are very, Phalaenopsis orchids are very common orchids. So a lot of people buy these orchids from the grocery store, they bring them home, and they put them in soil. Please do not do this. This is an epiphytic orchid, which means that it is not terrestrial. It does not grow in the dirt. You can kind of tell from the roots that they have chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is what makes plants green. I think most of us know that. It is what enables plants to photosynthesize, and it costs the plant energy. The plant is not going to waste energy putting chlorophyll into a part of itself that does not see sunlight and cannot photosynthesize. So if you see green roots on a plant, it's very likely that that plant is an epiphyte. The roots are air roots, and they are supposed to be exposed to the air and exposed to sunlight. So green roots, don't put it in the soil. I think that's, you know, a pretty common sense conclusion, but I've seen some people put roots like this into the soil. Don't do it. Not good. I hope this video is informative. It did take some research because my husband doesn't know what an orchid is. So my husband, I would like him to leave that in the video because he's my editor. My husband doesn't know what an orchid is. He thought this video would be beneficial, and he wanted me to do this. And I think an ant